And so what you're looking at here is a site from the Liberal Democrats in the UK, which actually has about 6 or 7 different modules that will be completely different content based on who you are, based on whether you're a paying member, based on what issue score you have, where you're coming from, and how much you've donated in the past. The site is basically now completely customized. And the way that we do this at Nation Builder is using a programming language called Liquid that was actually invented, right, popularized by Shopify. So this is the way that, like, Amazon.com, if you buy tennis shoes, they show you tennis rackets and tennis balls and cool shoelaces, and they show you what your friends built. It's because the site is inherently connected to the data. Now, if you're using WordPress or like sites that basically don't have a real data backend, you can't. It would be extremely expensive to do this. But because we've natively tied content into data, it gets actually really easy. And I'll give you an example of why this might be really important. And even at Nation Builder, we're nonpartisan. So even though I'm going to show you an example that might seem favorable to Republicans, don't take it that way. So here's Hillary Clinton's site. The big problem with this that you might not notice is that I've already joined. Right? So her entire real estate is based on the idea of join us. What a terrible missed opportunity. I've already joined. What it should do is say now donate. Right? And if I've already donated, it should say now volunteer. And if I've already volunteered, it should say now recruit your friends to volunteer. Let me give you a contrast with Rick Santorum's site. So I've joined Rick Santorum's site. And what does Rick Santorum do? It knows that I've already joined, so it tells me that here's my dashboard. And it says, welcome back, Mike, right here, right? And it says, here's my personal supporter link. And then it says, I'm supposed to recruit people. I will probably not recruit anyone to the Rick Santorum campaign, but it's letting me know that I've failed so far to do that. And it's very clearly told me the things that it wants me to do. It wants me to connect my Facebook account, my Twitter account, that's done. They have my email address. I've opted in to receive email. I haven't added my street address, signed up to volunteer, or recruited my 10 new volunteers to support the campaign. But on the Rick Santorum site, I very clearly know that this is my site. I know what I've done, and I know what I'm supposed to do next. And that's because there's a dynamic engagement ladder, whereas the Clinton site, no matter what I do, it will always say to join them. And I will join them 1,000,000 times. And they really still will never say, oh, thanks, Mike, for joining us. This is what you should do next. So that was a big kind of thing, number one, that I think is going to really matter. Second big thing that I want to highlight is creating master databases of social media. So this is one of my kind of like favorite pet projects. What's really, I think, going on right now that's of relevance to everyone of like my generation, everyone in this room that's under 40 years old in particular, is that you probably all don't have landlines anymore. Yet the number one strategy of progressives to turn out their vote is to call people on landlines that no longer exist. So this is a relatively moronic idea that leads to things like losing the governorship of Maryland as a Democrat, right? Because nobody has a landline in Baltimore. So we've been working really hard to figure out, well, what will replace that? And I think a lot of the answer will be Twitter and Facebook. So we've started to identify and figure out ways to create huge lists of people on Twitter by region, by affiliation, by all sorts of things. So right now we're in, I'm going to show you actually a group, a database called Democratic Twitter. We also have a GOP Twitter, and Dem Twitter has 11 million people in it. And these are all the 11 million people that have engaged in all the progressive causes and all the Democratic causes that there are. Hillary Clinton, Rachel Maddow, everything I can think of. The GOP Twitter has about 6 million. Similar. And what's really interesting about that is not only can I locate these people or identify them by issues that they care about. Let's say I wanted to find everyone who's in the Sierra Club who lives in San Francisco and ask them for money to support my environmental effort and rank them by social influence. I can now do that in 30 seconds. But the third thing that I think is really neat that I want to point out is that being able to identify people by bio. Right? So here, for example, is the 25,311 people who, in their own bio, they follow Hillary Clinton and they've said that they're teachers. Well, if I'm Hillary Clinton and I'm going to talk about education, These are very, very important people. I could rank these people by their cloud score, by their Twitter followers, by any number of different metrics. I could overlay my own data, say who's not a donor, who is a donor, and I could do that very simply. One of the things that I've worked on a little bit that I think is really interesting is across this 11 million progressives, if you think of like issue strengths and weaknesses, one of the things that Hillary's going to get beat up a little bit on is probably national security. Democrats in power haven't been doing so well lately on that whole front, if you've heard of this whole ISIS thing. And so what might be valuable to me? Well, veterans might be really, really valuable to me. So what I did was I built a national security biofilter that identifies all the people that have these in their self-reported bio: military, veteran, Navy, sailor, Marine, airman, soldier. It turns out there were a lot of marine biologists, so I deleted out people who have biology, ecology, love the mariners, or biologists, to take the marine biologists out. And I got 42,000 people, like Bob here in New York, Civil Air Patrol, who loves Hillary Clinton, and Steven here, who's a helicopter mechanic, Army soldier, and loves Rachel Maddow and Hillary Clinton. Now what's really interesting about this, knowing these people, is that I can just click and start to talk to them. So now I can advertise to them in a very targeted way that I couldn't do directly through Twitter or Facebook. One. And number two, I can go through it. An intern could very quickly follow these people, see who follows them back, and then turn them into donors and volunteers. If I'm Hillary Clinton, knowing Stephen Hager here is basically probably my most important priority. If I can get this guy involved in the campaign, get him to join Vets for Hillary, I'm going to have a really good effort pushing back when Jeb Bush says that I messed up everything in Libya and Benghazi was my fault. Last thing that I think is really important, in similar vein, the fourth thing that I'll share with you of this presentation today is texting. People are going to stop communicating over email. I mean, we see email being less and less effective every day. No disrespect to our friends from groups like New Blue Interactive that do phenomenal work, sending lots and lots of emails and raising lots and lots of money. But I have a little brother who's 12 years younger than me, and I invited him on a great trip with my girlfriend and I, and I invited him over email because that's how old people like me communicate. And he didn't reply, and I was baffled as to why he would be so rude. And then I tweeted at him, and he was like, "Yeah, bro, I don't email. Email's for like my boss." And I was like, "Okay, well, we probably need to learn how to text with you." And so one of the hardest things is text capture. So one of the things that we've basically built in now to all of the Nation Builder platform is the ability to take any action by texting. Fill out a survey by texting, sign a petition, join by texting, or whatever. So I set up a basic, simple pledge, which is, I'll pledge to innovate in 2016. And if you pledge to innovate in 2016, you can do that by texting 16 and 16 to 202-759-7456. You'll actually see how this works. So you should all actually take out your phone right now and do this, because it'll be fun, because you'll see how this works. You get it? Yep, Ian's doing it. Ian Magruder's doing it. That means everybody should do it. Is Ryan Morgan here? If Ryan Morgan's doing it, then definitely everybody will do it.
Peer pressure.
And 16 and 16. And we'll send you the report, and you will be awesome as a person and a human being if you do that. So, and you'll see
the text for all time.
Yeah, and you'll see the texting game, and you can always opt out. Don't worry. And I know that most people in this room are poor, so we won't hit you up for like really big accounts or whatever, unless you're Veracity Media. All right, good, cool.